Wombat looks at Tidalik, and he looks at the water hole, and then he said, "Well, we'll have to have a play about." "A play about?" chorused all the other animals. "What's a play about?" "Well," says Wombat, "we have to sing and dance and do silly things and make Tidalik laugh. And if he laughs, all the water will spill out." "That's a good idea." "We were here first," said Kookaburras. We'll do our little aerial dance." This involved the birds flying into the air, circling around, figures of 8, swooping, diving. Oh, they looked so beautiful, until they didn't look where they were going, and 2 of them bumped into each other, plummeted to the ground, landed in the middle of the dried up waterhole. Ow! Ooh, that hurt. All the other animals laughed, but Tidalik kept his mouth tightly shut. "Well, we'll have to do our kangaroo boxing match," said the kangaroos. 2 of the kangaroos stood in the middle of the dried up waterhole, stood upright, resting on their long tails, and started to box with each other with their small front paws. Bop, bap, bonk, boink, bang. And then suddenly they both punched each other on the jaw at the same time. Both of them fell flat on the ground. All the other animals thought that was hilarious. They laughed at the top of their voices. They all looked at Tidalik, but Tidalik kept his mouth tightly shut. He was not going to spill the water. "Oh, get out of the way," said an angry dingo. "I'll have to do my chasing my tail game." That usually attracted other animals, and then he'd do whatever he wanted. He started chasing his tail this way and that way and this way and that way, until he got so dizzy that he fell down on the ground, his eyes going around in circles. All the other animals laughed as loudly as they could, but Tidalik not even quiver. All the animals were just beginning to give up, and suddenly they heard a rather strange noise coming from a hole they hadn't noticed before in the side of the billabong. "What's going on up there? I'm trying to sleep down here. What's all that noise?" Out of the hole came the strangest creature you could ever see. This creature was called Platypus. And Platypus looked like he was a mixture of lots of different animals. That's what made him so funny. He had a ducked bill, a large furry body, and ordinary feet like all the other animals, except they had webs, as if he was a frog. Well, the animals looked astonished at Platypus. You see, nobody had ever seen him before. And suddenly they heard a noise. It was a gurgling sound. Everybody looked at Tidalik. Tidalik looked at Platypus, and Tidalik began to giggle. He still tried to keep his mouth tightly shut, but he'd never seen anything so hilariously funny before. His mouth began to dribble water, and then he could hold on no longer. The water began to gush out, back into the billabong. First it came as a trickle, then a stream, then it came in a great torrent, and soon the billabong was filled once more with water, and all the other animals were able to have their fill. Tidalik, in future you should not be so greedy. Make sure all the other animals have their share as well.